So, sorry this has taken so long. It's just that we've all had conflicting schedules, but at this point, I think it's been too long. So I'm just gonna have to go with what we have so far, and just do this on my own. So today we'll be talking about our project for basically teaching ASL students how to learn ASL better. It's not replacing teachers. It's more of a learning tool for them. So let's just get right on into it. Team members, me, Luke, Lucas, I'm sure you know them. Okay, so first of all, there's a sign language. There's around like 1 billion people in the world who all have disabilities, and then 275 mil of them, let's just say million, of them have hearing loss. 5 million have complete deafness. That means that's a lot of people who aren't able to just communicate the way we do, talking. Now, in terms of our target community, we, of course, first, the closest thing is going to be current ASL students at SAC, because they're the easiest for us to interact with, and they're the most personal for us. But it's not just them, right? They're not the only people who's going to be trying to learn ASL. There's self-taught learners who just may want to be aware. There's the physically impaired who need to know ASL to communicate if they don't have like a notepad, or just anyone who interacts with ASL on a day-to-day basis, like the people who translate at like concerts or might speak for the president, you know. So in terms of the problem that we're actually solving, number one, these people could be inaccurate. They might not be properly trained. They might not know. There's accessibility. Sometimes, it's hard to find a school or a teacher that actually teaches ASL. And then the alternative is to learn online. So what we're trying to do is give them a tool that they can help them practice. And further on, I'll show you more in depth on sort of what the idea that we have is. Ease of use, we want it to be like that. It has to be super easy for them to just fire it up and be able to, because the thing is that if it's really hard, it's gonna be that they're gonna be turned off. They're not gonna want to learn. Who wants to go through the effort of learning something when it's just really difficult to even get started, right? If you're trying to learn Mandarin and you have to and there's no teachers and you have to do all the setup process that takes like hours, and you have to find good sources because there's no good teachers, you're not going to want to learn it. We want it also to serve as a replacement for some sort of schoolwork, because talking to some ASL students, they get really bored. A lot of their videos or a lot of their homework is like recording videos, submitting them, so they already have the technology to do what we want to do. But sometimes people might be camera shy, or people might just not really like doing the same thing over and over again. So the way we're providing a service to these people is addressing those problems. Ease of learning, making it easy for them to learn and be more motivated, and making it accessible to a lot of people. In this day and age, especially after quarantine, a lot of people have access to a camera. That's really all you need, a camera and a computer, and you're able to use our software, which is why I just feel like it's doing a huge service. So how is this need being met right now? Of course, I just addressed recording videos, submitting them, but there's also following online tutorials and guides. However, the problem with that is those people who are recording those videos, they're not there to check on you. They don't know if you're actually doing it right. And this was what leads to inaccuracy. If you don't have a teacher and you're trying to learn, if you're trying to be self-taught, if you're wrong, that could potentially be really dangerous. You don't want to be spreading misinformation. Imagine you're that person translating for the president in some new bill that's been passed, and you're just giving the wrong message. Imagine how many people in the world that can affect. So this is how they can sort of know that if you're doing something right or wrong, which is how we're implementing machine learning. We're using computers and teaching them based off like tons of images, like thousands of images of our personal data, to sort of train the computer to understand what each sign means. For example, how it says over here A and has this sign, we might take 1,000 images in like different lighting conditions or different positions, and we would use that to teach the computer how to know what they're doing or what to look for. So the proposed approach, this is the big shebang. This is where it all comes together and makes more sense. Of course, we're going to use machine learning to detect what the person's actually doing. We're going to have quizzes. So that's how we're making sure that the students are continually improving. Games to make things more fun, spice things up, keep them entertained and interested. And the platform, either downloadable desktop or web app. That hasn't really been figured out yet. We're focusing more on the actual content before how we're going to distribute it right now. So how does it meet the needs? I kind of discovered, but first of all, it's convenient, right? Think about all the apps on your phone. There's Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, YouTube, Gmail. Now just another one of those apps. Instead of saying, hey, I'm gonna go play chess on my phone, I'm gonna go play an ASL game. I'm gonna practice my ASL. That I can, maybe it's your next period. You want to get warmed up or something. Maybe you're getting ready for a test. We want to keep things interesting. We want, not just sending videos of like, okay, give me a sentence in ASL. Instead, you can do a game where you might try to spell words under a certain amount of time. And then lastly, accuracy. Because we know what the data that the machine is based off of, it's helping them be accurate. It's helping them know what they're doing is right. Use a scenario. This is just an example of how it may look in our app. Person gives up a sign, and then the computer will detect whatever they're doing. And there's a lot of use cases for this because let's go back to our game. Let's say this is for homework for a student. Teacher assigns it and says, I want you to hit a score of 5,000 in this game where a word is given, maybe like 4 or 5, you don't want to be too much, and then have them spell it out by having a counter that goes like 3 seconds, and then after that, it'll record whatever letter you want to do. So let's say 3 seconds I hold up A, or okay, let's say 3 seconds I hold up like C, and then A, and then whatever else to spell what I want. And then you get a certain amount of points if you spell it correctly. Or how many letters you use in that word is correct is correlated to how many points. This is just one scenario. Like imagine the student being able to quickly learn the entire alphabet just by trying to spell words over and over again, with a whole point system to teach them how much they're actually improving or not, or if they're correct. How are we going to measure the success of this though? So of course we're going to go about having surveys. I think the most important thing is the student experience. What's most impactful for how we develop this app is going to be based on how much they're enjoying, what they like, what they don't like, what needs to be changed, new features that would make life easier. Of course, what's a student without a teacher, right? We need to also make sure what the teacher wants is being accounted for. The teacher should be able to make requests for what sort of quizzes and tests we have, because we're not going to be the most informed people, they are. So if we have the teachers backing us and to tell us what everything means, help us understand if our data is correct, help us know what they're looking for when they assign homework to students, it's going to help make a better correlation between the work we give and the tests that they're going to give. Lastly, we're going to look at test scores. I mean, that's sort of just the standard of how schools measure someone's ability to retain the information. They make you take a test and see how well you understand it. So if what we're trying to do is help them better understand it, obviously we're going to look at their test scores, hopefully, if we can. If not, then we'll have them, if we can't access that information because they might not want to share it, which is totally fine, that's up to them, that's their private information, we'll just, see maybe average test scores or median test scores, or we'll just take the test scores of people who are willing to talk to us about it. Now, how's it going to work? This is more the core of it. This is what's behind the scenes, behind the curtain. Of course, we're going to use machine learning to actually train the data. We're going to have like a web app for them to interact with it, or it can be a downloadable local app, which they both have their benefits and drawbacks, which need to be accounted for, which it will. Now, how we're going to make this happen is we're going to use Google. Google offers a way to train machines for free. So that's going to be sort of the backbone of it. We're going to have an app, of course. Can't do anything without a way to actually use it. YouTube to learn. Obviously, we're not professionals. We're going to need to be learning to accomplish what we need to do. Training data, we're going to be doing that ourselves. We're going to find online data sets. Of course, we're going to make sure that they're right though, but it wouldn't help to find more data. And Python's a language will be doing it in it just because I know Python. It makes it a lot easier for me. So it's just more work to do it in another language that I don't know. Advanced tools that you may or may not know. TensorFlow is part of Google's machine learning stuff, so is Keras. OpenCV is the way we're going to work with cameras, basically, and Flask is how we're going to build an app. Resources. Of course, you can't just throw your mind into the sky, come up with some idea if you don't have any resources to back it up. You need something in the physical plane. Servers, we might need them, we're not very sure. YouTube and the internet, of course, if we're going to be trying to learn, we're going to need YouTube and the internet. We need computers to actually work on. And the most important part, we're going to need ASL teachers and students. Without the actual target audience, what are you really trying to accomplish? So we need to make sure our information is accurate with them, and we need to make sure that we're actually accounting for their needs. Proposed costs. Honestly, mostly we don't have a lot of costs. Computers, we all have computers already. Internet access, we all have internet access already. And then there's servers. We might need servers, still undecided yet. If we do, they'll probably be around $30 a month. However, there's free trials. So we're going to make use of free trials to actually see if our product works, if it's a good idea, if everything makes sense, if it's what we want to do, and we're confident in it, we'll be willing to pay that. Because in the long term, education is worth a lot more than the money. Thank you. Again, apologies that this video took so long to make. We were sort of waiting for our schedules to align, but at this point, I think it's just been too long. So thank you for your time.